My hosts hold an annual gathering on Christmas. It's not a Christmas party as our family doesn't observe Christmas, but everyone has the day off, so that's when they do it. I live in another state, 4 hours drive away, so I have only attended occasionally. Several years ago, I asked in advance if it was okay for us to bring a tofurkey because my spouse is vegetarian and no one else in the family is. Aunt said yes. I brought it cooked, sliced, and ready to serve in a crock pot. So she needed to do nothing except provide a serving fork and allow the use of the microwave to heat up the gravy, which I also brought in a microwave-safe container. The next year, my aunt decreed that no one was to bring food and that there would be vegetarian options. I don't remember exactly what was served, but my spouse said there was basically just salad and potatoes with no gravy for him. It's possible there were other meat-free dishes that he simply didn't care for. This year, my mom, who lives in the same area as my aunt, has been nagging me about whether we'll be coming up for a visit over the holiday. I finally said yes and gave a date range to include Dec 25th. Yesterday, Mom asked if I had notified my aunt that we would be attending the dinner. I told her we hadn't been invited. She then sent me a screenshot of her texting my aunt saying, "Are OP and spouse invited?" And aunt responding, "Of course." Typically, one waits for the host to officially tell you where and when to show up before you RSVP, no? Mom says they probably assumed we knew we were invited. Then, she said she already told my aunt that we would be there. Spouse was on the text thread with my mom. He immediately said, "I'm not going to that dinner." Aside from not being given enough food last time, he also reminded me of some ignorant remarks my aunt had made about his vegetarianism years ago when they were first getting to know each other. Overall, he felt disrespected and unwelcome around her. I suggested perhaps we could eat whatever we wanted before the event, and then go for dessert to spend time with my family, but he refused that too, as he wants nothing to do with my aunt. Due to some other interactions I've had with her, I don't blame him. I don't want to go to the dinner alone, if he is, in fact, also in town, because I would either have to lie about his absence or risk drama by stating the reason. So I told my mom we actually can't make the trip until after the 26th. She then offered to drive down and pick me up, in other words, suggesting that I leave my spouse alone on Christmas. I declined. Am I the idiot for not going to the holiday dinner and cutting our trip short by a few days? Bonus question. Should I officially RSVP to my aunt, even though she didn't officially invite us? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Why didn't the issue of there being no vegetarian food come up and be discussed at the time? How did you not even notice? It doesn't sound like you have spoken directly to your aunt at any point in this discussion. Why not talk to your aunt before ruling out going? There seem to be heaps of alternatives that can be considered before you rule out going, especially as you say in a comment that you would enjoy seeing them all. Your partner seems very quick to not want to go. Fair enough, they want something to eat, but they seem to have jumped extremely quickly to flat-out refusal. Comment 2. It's possible there were other meat-free dishes that he simply didn't care for. Well, were there or weren't there? If you were told there would be vegetarian options and there weren't, your aunt was being unwelcoming. If your spouse just didn't like the available options and is holding a grudge over ignorant remarks made years ago, then your husband is not being honest about why he doesn't want to go. It isn't that your aunt isn't being accommodating, it's that he doesn't like her, and you seem to agree with him. Now for the update. Hey Reddit. It's been a bit since I last posted about the holiday dinner drama with my aunt, and I've got an update for you all. Buckle up because things got pretty intense. So, after I told my mom we couldn't make the trip until after the 26th, she seemed to accept it at first. But then, out of the blue, she called me up, and boy, was she furious. She accused me of ruining the family tradition and being selfish for not considering how much she wanted us there. I tried to explain my spouse's feelings and my own discomfort, but she wasn't having any of it. Now let's rewind a bit. My spouse has always been the quiet type, preferring to avoid conflict. But when my aunt made those ignorant remarks about his vegetarianism years ago, it really struck a nerve. He's been patient and tolerant, but everyone has their limits, right? And last year's dinner was the last straw for him. The lack of food options and the underlying tension just made him feel completely unwelcome. Fast forward to this year, and things just escalated. After my mom's angry call, my aunt got wind of the situation and decided to confront me directly. She called and said she couldn't believe I was considering not coming. She even tried to guilt-trip me by saying how much it would mean to the family, especially since my cousin, who had been through a rough patch with her health, was looking forward to seeing us. Now, my cousin and I were close growing up. We used to spend summers together, building forts and getting into all sorts of mischief. So hearing that she was looking forward to our visit did tug at my heartstrings. But I had to stand by my spouse. I couldn't just abandon him on Christmas, could I? The plot thickened when my cousin herself called me. She was in tears, begging me to come. She said she needed the support, especially since she'd just gone through a breakup and was feeling pretty low. I felt torn. Here was my cousin, who I cared about deeply, asking for my help. And then there was my spouse, who I love and want to support. In the end, I made a tough call. I decided to visit my cousin before the dinner, just to check in on her and give her some moral support. I thought I could manage a quick visit without getting involved in the dinner drama. But when I got there, things took a turn for the dramatic. My aunt was there, and she was not happy to see me. She started in on me right away, saying I was being disrespectful by not attending the dinner. I tried to keep my cool, but then she said something that I couldn't ignore. She accused my spouse of being a bad influence on me and said that I was choosing him over my family. That's when I lost it. I reminded her of the years I'd spent trying to make everyone happy, attending these dinners, even when it made my spouse uncomfortable. I told her that family isn't just about blood, it's about respect and understanding. And right now, I didn't feel respected or understood at all. The confrontation was intense, and my cousin was right there, witnessing the whole thing. She tried to mediate, but it was no use. My aunt was set in her ways, and I was standing my ground. I left feeling heartbroken, not just because of the fight with my aunt, but because I could see the pain in my cousin's eyes. She was going through so much already, and now this. I went back to my spouse and told him everything. He was upset, not just for me, but because he felt responsible for the rift in the family. We had a long talk about it, and he reassured me that I had done the right thing. He said that standing up for our beliefs and our relationship was more important than trying to please everyone else. So, we spent Christmas just the two of us, and it was actually really nice. We made our own traditions and created new memories, just for us. It wasn't the holiday season we had planned, but in a way, it brought us closer together. As for my family, well, I haven't spoken to my aunt since that day. My mom has been trying to play peacemaker, but there's still a lot of tension. I hope one day we can all sit down and have an honest conversation about everything that's happened. But for now, I'm focusing on my spouse and our life together. Nephew rejects his half-siblings, so I step in, but their secret alliance against him leads to a shocking twist. My older sister Madeline has 3 children. When she was 20, she married Nate and they had Logan together. When Logan was 5, Nate died, and soon afterwards, Madeline told me I needed to take Logan and raise him because she wanted to date and marry again and didn't want Logan to get in her way. I took legal custody of Logan and raised him. When Logan was 9, Madeline briefly reappeared after getting remarried and wanted Logan to be a family with her and her second husband, Rob. Of course, Logan was not jumping for joy at this request, and he was hurt, angry, and told Madeline he wasn't going to be their family ever. Madeline went to court to try and get rights to Logan back, but dropped the case before it reached its conclusion. The judge had ordered therapy for Logan, and once Madeline heard the therapist say it would be a very long battle if Logan were to ever consider Madeline and Rob any kind of family, let alone parents, she gave up and stopped the fight to get custody back. A few years later, Madeline and Rob had Jace, 18 months old, and Sophie, 17 years old, together. For more than a year, Jace and Sophie have lived with me because their parents did not give them the happiest home life lately. They know about Logan and asked a lot of questions. Logan and I are still very close, and he told me he wasn't interested in meeting and establishing a relationship with Jace and Sophie. I respected his decision and never tried to convince him. From the time they came to live with me, I insisted Jace and Sophie seek therapy because they had been through a lot. I also sat them down and explained that while they were interested in meeting and getting to know Logan, he was not interested, and they should respect that. I mentioned this to their therapists so they could discuss this during therapy. Logan told me a few weeks ago that Jace and Sophie kept trying to communicate with him via social media. He told me one of them had made a fake account when they realized he would not accept their friend follow requests. I spoke to Jace and Sophie and told them they should respect Logan's boundary. Logan told me again a few days ago that they found his number on my phone and had started sending him texts and trying to call him. He ended up needing to block them, He showed me screenshots of the messages, and Jace and Sophie have been demanding he see them. 2 days ago, Jace and Sophie tried to get mine and my husband's phones to get to Logan. My husband found them snooping through our phones. We had another talk, and they refused to stop. I told them they need to stop, because they cannot keep living with me if they don't. I said Sophie could stay until she's 18, because I would not make her homeless. But I won't tolerate them harassing Logan and pushing his boundaries like they have. They told me it wasn't fair, and I was putting Logan before them when they should be my priority. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. No idiots here. Logan doesn't want a reminder of his problematic biological mother. His half-siblings want to work out what happened to them and why, and Logan, they think, has those answers. None of these kids are disrespectful. They were let down by a caregiver. OP, you are an awesome person, but please don't contribute to these kids' trauma. Don't threaten them. They've had enough of that from their mother and father. Call their therapist again, clarify what is happening, and request a family session where you and they can talk with their therapist present and mediating. Comment 2. They told me it wasn't fair, and I was prioritizing Logan over them when they should be my priority. You're not. And it's very strange for them to phrase it like this. Can you arrange a session with their therapist where you all focus on this? Not the idiot, but woof, this is a difficult situation. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. I really appreciated the advice and support. A lot has happened in the past 3 days, and I wanted to give you all an update. So, after the last incident with Jace and Sophie trying to get to Logan through our phones, things got even more intense. I thought I had made it clear that they needed to respect Logan's boundaries, but it seems like they just couldn't let it go. 2 nights ago, I caught Sophie trying to sneak out of the house. When I confronted her, she broke down and admitted that she was going to try and see Logan at his job. She said she just wanted to talk to him and didn't understand why he wouldn't give them a chance. I had to sit her down and remind her of the history between Logan and Madeline, how he felt abandoned by our sister and didn't want to open old wounds. Sophie's tears made me realize just how much she and Jace were struggling with the rejection. They had been through so much with Madeline and Rob, and now they felt rejected by their own brother. I knew I had to do something to help them understand Logan's perspective without forcing him into a relationship he wasn't ready for. The next day, I arranged for an emergency session with their therapist. I joined them, and we talked about the importance of respecting other people's feelings and decisions, even when it hurts. The therapist helped them see that Logan's reluctance wasn't a reflection of how he felt about them, but rather a result of his own pain and history with our sister. After the session, Jace and Sophie seemed a bit more at peace with the situation. They agreed to stop trying to contact Logan and focus on their own healing. I was relieved, but I knew the road ahead would still be tough for them. Later that evening, Logan came over unexpectedly. He said he had been doing a lot of thinking, and, while he wasn't ready to have a full-blown relationship with Jace and Sophie, he didn't want them to feel like he hated them. He had seen the messages they sent before he blocked them and realized they were just kids trying to connect with their brother. Logan decided to write them a letter. He explained his feelings and his past, how losing Nate and dealing with Madeline's abandonment had affected him. He told them he needed time and space, but he didn't blame them for Madeline's actions. It was a heartfelt letter, and when Jace and Sophie read it, they both cried. They wrote back, telling Logan they understood and would give him the time he needed. It was a small step, but it meant the world to Jace and Sophie. They finally felt acknowledged by Logan, and it gave them a sense of closure. They still have a lot of issues to work through, but they're no longer fixated on establishing a relationship with Logan at all costs. As for me, I'm just trying to support all 3 of them the best I can. It's not easy balancing everyone's needs, and I often feel like I'm walking a tightrope. But seeing Logan reach out in his own way and Jace and Sophie starting to heal gives me hope that maybe one day they can all find some common ground. My mother's friend tried to hijack my wedding plans, but when she unveiled Mom's old dress, I couldn't help but question my choices. My mum passed away a few years ago. I, 31 years old female, have since found a partner I love. We have a baby together and are getting married next year. I've been missing my mum a lot throughout this. She would be a wonderful grandmother. One of my mum's friends, Lauren, recently got in touch. She had heard about my upcoming wedding. She claimed that whilst unwell in the months leading up to her death, my mum had told Lauren that she should take me wedding dress shopping on her behalf if I ever got married one day. Lauren said she was excited to do this. She also expressed looking forward to helping with my wedding decorations, flowers, etc. There's one problem. I can't stand Lauren. I have always found her overbearing and rude, to the point of dreading gatherings where she will be present. She and her husband remain in my dad's friendship group, so attend parties that he hosts. Lauren has made unpleasant remarks about my weight. She was recently bossy and critical of my parenting when I ran into her at my dad's Christmas party. How come you're supplementing and not fully breastfeeding? Why are you going to put your daughter in nursery when a childminder would be better? Etc. There have been many other examples. I have always responded to such comments in a polite manner and not engaged further, but I don't like it. I tend to become a doormat when upset out of fear of losing my temper. My fault for enabling rudeness to me, I realize. Even if I liked Lauren more, I still wouldn't want her involved with my wedding. Dress shopping feels like a very personal thing to me, and I had planned to do it with my future sister-in-law, who I like and trust. In fact, I don't want Lauren at my wedding at all. She was far from my mum's closest friend, and I had planned to only invite my mum's childhood best friend and a couple of others who my dad is close to in order to keep him company. My wedding is going to be smallish and simple. I'm a shy person and already dreading the attention. The thought of someone there who I know will be judgmental of me makes it feel so much worse. Lauren and I have never been close, and she has never even contacted me before today, so I'm amazed she thinks she would be involved in any way. I want to, 1. Tell Lauren, politely, that I won't be dress shopping with her and have other arrangements in hand for the decorations and flowers. And 2. Not invite Lauren to my wedding. My dad, while supportive of me overall, thinks it would be too harsh of me not to find at least some way to include her. He pointed out that Lauren suffered a bereavement in her own family recently, so is in a bad place. He added that whilst we don't know for sure if she's telling the truth about my mum's wish, Mum didn't mention it to either of us. If it is true, it would be good to honour it. Would I be the jerk for not inviting Lauren to my wedding, or accepting any help from her with dress shopping and flowers? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Don't go shopping with this lady, and don't invite her to your wedding. Just because she is in a bad place, according to your sibling, does not mean she gets to be invited to your wedding. She is not your responsibility. I'm surprised your dad would want you to invite her. It's crazy. Don't invite people you don't like. For FFs, it's your wedding. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Hi Lauren. My mum never mentioned any of this to me, and as such, I have already made plans that I will not be changing. We will only be having a small wedding, and therefore it also seems wrong to allow someone who will not be in attendance to participate in the arrangements. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the support on my last post. It's been a tense week, and I've got quite the update for you all. So, after I shared my dilemma about Lauren, I decided to take action. I had a heart-to-heart with my dad, explaining how uncomfortable Lauren made me feel. He listened, but he still insisted that excluding her could cause tension in his friend group. I understood his point, but this was my wedding, and I needed to be true to myself. I reached out to Lauren with a carefully worded message. I thanked her for her offer, but explained that I had already made plans for the wedding dress shopping, and that the wedding preparations were all set. I thought that would be the end of it, but oh boy, was I wrong. The next day, Lauren showed up at my house unannounced. She had a dress in hand, not just any dress, but my mum's wedding dress. She said she had kept it safe after my mum passed, hoping to give it to me when the time was right. My heart dropped. I had no idea my mum's dress still existed. Seeing it brought back a flood of memories, and for a moment I was speechless. Lauren's eyes were filled with tears as she told me how much my mum had meant to her. She admitted that they had their differences, but shared a bond over their love for me. I was torn. Part of me wanted to slam the door in her face, but another part of me was moved by this gesture. I invited her in, and we talked for hours. She shared stories of my mum that I had never heard before, painting a picture of their friendship that was far more complex than I had realized. Lauren had been there for my mum during some tough times, and it seemed my mum had confided in her more than I knew. As we talked, I learned that Lauren's recent loss was her husband. He had been ill for a long time, and his passing had left her adrift. She confessed that her behavior towards me had been out of line, driven by her own grief and loneliness. I saw a side of Lauren I never knew existed, and I couldn't help but feel a pang of sympathy. The twist came when Lauren revealed that my mum had indeed asked her to take me dress shopping. She pulled out an old letter my mum had written to her, detailing the request. My mum's handwriting was unmistakable. The letter was heartfelt, asking Lauren to step in as a maternal figure if she wasn't there to see me get married. I was stunned. The reality that my mum had thought of these moments without her hit me hard. I was conflicted. Here was Lauren, a woman I had disliked for so long, holding a piece of my mum's legacy. I couldn't just turn her away now, could I? After much thought, I made a decision. I told Lauren that while I appreciated her gesture, I still needed to do things my way. However, I offered a compromise. I would try on my mum's dress with her there, but the final decision on what to wear would be mine alone. And as for the wedding, I would give her a small role, perhaps handling a specific part of the decorations, so she felt included, but wasn't overwhelming. Lauren agreed, and the day we spent trying on my mum's dress was emotional. It fit like it was made for me, but it wasn't quite what I had envisioned for my wedding. I decided to incorporate a piece of it into my dress as a way to have my mum with me. The week ended with mixed feelings. I had stood up for myself, but I had also opened the door to a new understanding of Lauren. The wedding was still mine, but now it had an unexpected connection to my mum that I hadn't anticipated. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.